Hey everyone, welcome to Knitting and Such. I'm Andrea, a serial crafter coming to you from South Central Pennsylvania, and this is where we like to talk about all things crafty. Usually that's mostly knitting, sometimes it's crochet and weaving, sometimes it's also cooking, baking, sewing, quilting. We love making all the things. Happy you're here, let's get into it. So let's talk first about what I'm wearing, and this is the Vortex Cardigan by Louise Robert, and it is a very unique construction. So number one, this is a DK weight yarn. I don't recall what size needles that I used on this, but I will post a link to my Ravelry project page below that has all the details, all the yarn names, and the needle sizes. So this uses DK weight yarn. I used 5, 6, 7 different colors that mostly I rescued from someone's D-stash. And look, dog rescue was a thing. Yarn rescue is also a thing. So I made this probably 2-3 years ago, I guess by now. And I love it. It's very warm. It's very cozy. And like I said, it's a really unique construction. So let me just talk a little bit about how this works. And I don't want to give too much away. It's a paid pattern. If you're interested, you can go pick that up. But what happens is you pick up at this purple, what is the purple edge on mine. So you're kind of starting with the neck, the front band, and then the bottom. All is one cast on. So it's hundreds of stitches, and then as you work, we're decreasing to make this sort of raglan effect, and then you split for the sleeves, and then you keep decreasing down until you get to the back, and then it's Kitchenered once you get down to, like, I don't know how many stitches, like just a few stitches, and then you just Kitchener it together. And I don't know how people's minds work that they can come up with this sort of unique construction, but like my brain doesn't work like that, and that's why I buy patterns, and I'm not a pattern designer. So there is that. Now let's talk about what I like about the cardigan first. I like that it's warm. I like that it's pretty. It's longer. It's about a little bit below hip length, and I like that there's also information in the pattern where you can kind of modify that a little bit. They include in the pattern some info on modifications for that. But if we talk about what I don't like, so, and maybe it's less what I don't like and maybe some changes I would have made. So first thing is this band. And again, this is where the cast on edge is. This is where it all starts. It's a garter ridge band, and there is an option in the pattern to do this in brioche. At the time I was doing this, like, I was not ready for that level of skill. So it tends to, you can see here where it just tends to flop open, and you know, that's not necessarily my favorite thing in the world, but it's not the end of the world either. It just looks like a bordered edge. I would maybe have done a few more extra rounds to make it wider this way, or possibly instead of doing garter stitch, I could have maybe done some ribbing, like maybe some 2x2 ribbing, 3x1 ribbing, something like that to keep that from happening. But of course, as you're making it, you don't realize it's happening until it's basically done. And then you're like, oh, well, I would have maybe changed that. The other thing I would have changed is the length of the sleeves. So I'm just going to get up and show you here. These are, I want to say they call these bracelet length, but it kind of hits like right at my wrist bone here. And I prefer my sleeves to be much longer. I like them to come down to like my knuckles. So I maybe would have made this sleeve a few repeats longer. Now I do recall though I was running short on some of these colors, so that's probably why I made the decision not to do that, although I could have just done the purple and just extended that, but you know, it's not the end of the world. It is still a lovely, lovely piece. And I wore this to Frederick Fiber Fest yesterday. I don't know if I already said that, but a lot of folks stopped and asked me about it. So that was fun. Not that we really make for compliments, but it's always nice to get them when your hard work is recognized. So speaking of Frederick Fiber Fest, that was yesterday, and it was Saturday, October 26th. And that is such a really good show if you can ever, have the privilege or opportunity to go to it. It's fairly small, but I feel like there's more vendors that were there this year. It felt like there was more to it this year, and I think there was definitely a lot more people attending it this year as well. Normally when I go, I try to go like in the morning, but the parking lot was pretty full at that point. And it's at the Frederick Fairgrounds, which is huge. So there's plenty of ample parking, even within the fairgrounds, and then there's some parking kind of outside the fairgrounds right across the street, so you just have to cross the road to come in. But for the most part, like, I can't ask for anything more out of a show. They had a ton of food trucks. So when I first started going to this show, they had a couple buildings, like literally a couple buildings, and maybe one or two food trucks. And this year they had 1, 2, I think 4, maybe 5 buildings, a ton of food trucks, animals, and then a kids zone, and then also yarn trucks, which was super fun. And I'll talk more about the shopping later in this if you're so inclined to stick around. I have a little bit of a haul over here to show you guys. If you don't want to see it, that's fine too. You can just kind of skip that. But I also have some footage at the end about the festival itself, and you can see all the fun things that you may have missed. So now let's get into the making, why you're actually here. Let's talk about the making. So this was another week where I was very monogamous on my WestKnits Mystery Knit Along, the Go-Go Dynamo. I have never kept up with a Mystery Knit Along until now, and I'm hoping that I can get Clue 4 done sometime in the next week. I have not looked at it yet. It's Sunday when I'm filming this. I normally film on Fridays or Saturdays. That didn't happen, and we'll talk about that in the and such portion. But I was able to get Clue 3 completely finished last night. I wove in the ends, which I also never do. Who am I? I don't even know what is happening to me. I really feel like making this channel and sharing my makes with y'all. Thank you again for being here and subscribing and liking it and commenting. Like, you guys make me a better maker, and I just really appreciate that. And I find this experience really gratifying. But let's talk about Clue 3. So I'm going to put a spoiler notice here. I'll try to put a timestamp for if you're not interested, you can fast forward. I feel like everybody's seen Clue 3 at this point though, but just in case, I want to be respectful of your wishes. Timestamp here. Spoiler alert, final call. So here is where we're at after Clue 3. This is very long and kind of very skinny. It is giving scarf vibes. And Clue 3 just focused in on one area, which is this border situation, and it's these triangles. And I know in last week's episode, I kind of touched on those because I had started those, but they are all finished now. All the ends are woven in. Yay me. Look at me go. So there is that. Now, I did run into a slight snag at the end of my wedge repeats. So as you're working these, you're doing your pickups, and I think we were supposed to have like 6 or 7 stitches left on the needle here as we were doing this last wedge. And Once I got there, I realized I was 2 stitches short. And like Steven says, say yes, don't stress. All I did was on the final wedge here, where you do those pickups, final 2 wedges on the pickups, where you're kind of completing that last row, I just dove in. Steven always says, dive in, find a stitch. I just dove in, found a stitch, and it worked. Like, nobody's ever gonna know that that happened. And I think the reason that happened, my stitch count was originally correct, believe it or not. I counted. Another thing I never do. Like, what is happening here? But 2 of my wedges, and it's these 2 right here, I think, yeah, these 2 right here. You can see on that edge there, the I-cord edge, there's 4. And then on this like little pickup edge, there's 4. That should have been 3. I must have done an extra row while I was distracted by, you know, life. Life happens. So clue 3 is done. I haven't even looked at clue 4 yet. I printed it out. It's on my printer over there. I haven't even read it yet. I haven't looked at it yet. But I'm still speculating the same thing, is we're going to go back here and maybe do some stuff. I kind of hope that's the case, because again, it's giving very much scarf vibes right now. It's kind of long and skinny. And I'll try to post a picture here of what it looks like kind of laid out. But that's my hope, is that we go back down there and do some stuff. And even if we don't, maybe I will. Maybe I'll modify it. I don't know. We'll see. Stay tuned for next week to see what happens with clue 4. But there is that. I am really enjoying this. I'm enjoying the fact that I'm keeping up with it. And I just really, really love how it looks. Okay, so for everyone who didn't want to see the spoiler, you should be back now. Thanks for the patience. Thanks for waiting for us. So like I said, that is my monogamous make. It's going to be my monogamous make even for the next week. I really am going to try to get that done by next week. That is my hope. When I'm done filming this, I have some like house projects to do. We're in the progress of moving some rooms around. So we get to move furniture today. Super fun. And it's Ravens game day, so we'll be watching that. I have some real life stuff to do, so, you know, gotta pause the making for a bit. But I do want to talk about the progress on my end times cardigan. So I didn't show this for the past couple weeks. I just kind of talked about it. But just so kind of everyone's aware, when you see the purchases from Frederick Fiber Fest, there's a reason, there's a plan. There's a reason why I bought what I bought. So I'm on the side here and starting to do basically what becomes the front of the cardigan. Obviously there's 2 fronts, and just making the way up to do those fronts. Now I have 55 squares left to do. That means 2 colors per square. That's what, 110? Am I doing the math right? 110 colors left. Now, I absolutely have that. That's not a problem. But the problem is, and I think I may have mentioned this in a prior video too, I'm doing kind of light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, just to kind of balance the colors with one another. I'm running out of light colors. I am coming to the end of my stash of colors that can be paired together, and I don't want to put like 2 mediums next to one another, because then it's going to look a little muddy, and this is going to be the front of the cardigan. So I made some purchases at Frederick Fiber Fest to help with that, and that was really my priority going to the festival yesterday. I usually try to have a budget in mind. I usually have a plan in mind. I have reached the point in my making career where I tend to not like to just buy random stuff to buy random stuff. And sometimes that does happen, by the way. And no judgment here. This is a judgment-free zone. But if I'm buying something, I at least want to have an idea, a plan, a concept of a plan, if you will, of what I'm going to do with it. So let's just talk about that next. Let's talk about the Frederick Fiber Fest, and the purchases. So first up, you guys know this is a Rising Tide Fiber Company fan channel. Hashtag not sponsored. I like Melissa, I like her yarn, and we're gonna be total fiber besties. But here we are. So she does these half sock sets. This is the greatest idea ever, and I'm really surprised a lot more dyers don't do this. So when I make socks, I usually have close to 50 grams of yarn left. And like you can see here, Exhibit A and Exhibit B, I don't need more scraps. So I love that she does these 50-gram kind of mega mini skeins along with a 20-gram mini. I can get a full pair of socks out of this. And this is a color I didn't recall seeing this, so I'm not sure if it's one of her newer colors or not, but I just love this. And she's the queen of speckles and variegated yarns. So look at that. And then this just acid green color. And like this would look amazing in the End Times cardigan. Assume that I use this in time. I really want that cardigan done by the end of the year, and it's gonna happen. But anyway, moving on. So also from Rising Tide Fiber Company, she had like a sale bin, which I love a sale. Love a sale. Who doesn't love a sale? And I picked this green up, and it is called Let Me Knit Your Booties Baby. And that's kind of a perfect name for this, because what I'm going to do with this, oh, and this one was called Aquarium. I don't know if I said that. And it's her Talbot fingering base, 75-25, which is great for socks and really anything that requires fingering weight yarn. It's very soft. So, and this is the same base, same thing. So what I'm going to do with this, I had shown a couple weeks ago the quilts that I'm making for my coworker. They're greens and blues, both of them. And I saw this and I was like, I could make the baby and the toddler socks, you know, in all my spare time. I can just like, you know, knit all these baby socks. But how perfect would this be? It has just the slightest little hint of speckles, and it is fantastic. So very excited about that too. So those are Rising Tide Fiber Company. So next up, I was walking through, as you do, the booths, and a sample knit caught my eye. And by the way, I'm always drawn to the sample knits, and it really helps inspire us makers on what could possibly happen or be made with the yarn. So I don't know. I always get sucked into the samples. I know that's kind of a double-edged sword for some of the yarn makers and dyers, because if they don't have the exact color in that the sample is, some people just like shut down and they can't think of anything else. So, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword. So in any case, I was walking by and I saw this scarf, and I'll insert a picture of it here. And it was just like a little mini scarf around like the neck of the kind of display. And I was like, huh, that looks amazing. So I asked the purveyor, the proprietor, I said, hey, is this like a mini skein set? Can you let me know like what this is? Like, I love it. It's amazing. What pattern is this and what yarn is it? So she gave me the name of the pattern. This is called Pincha, and I don't recall the name of the maker, but I'll put it here on the screen. And she's like, it's one skein of yarn. And I'm like, what? Look at this. Look at this picture that I'm showing. How is this one skein of yarn? I need explanation. So what she explained was she has these yarns dyed in such a way that when you make this pattern, it pulls so that it looks like you're using numerous colors. Brilliant, brilliant. So I normally, when I see a sample, like I try to take the idea of it and then pick a different color that they didn't use. Not with this one. I saw this and I was like, I need that, and it needs to be in that exact yarn, and please tell me that you have it in stock. She had 2 left. Here it is. Look at this. And by the way, it's wild hair, hand-dyed yarns and fibers. And it is pinnacle fingering, called Neon Lights 7525. This is going to be that project. I don't know when, but it's going to be that project for sure. Now, I say that. She also had socks, and I did not get a picture of the socks. I should have taken a picture of the socks, but she also had socks done in this, and the way it pulls, the colors pull together, and then the black makes these stripes through it. Amazing. All that from one skein of yarn. So, had to get it. Had to come home with me. Okay, up next. Most of the rest of this are mini skeins. And, you know, everything I just said about the End Times cardigan, trying to finish it, needing light colors, that's why. I needed to, like, up my game a little bit on light colors, which I'm running out of. So you're going to see that here. And then also I have some more plans for some more log cabin squares. And that's going to be a whole future video. But the first mini purchase that I have here is a new to me dyer who is also local to me. And you guys know I love my local small businesses. This is Sunset Fiber Co. And they are out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And yes, it's pronounced Lancaster, not Lancaster. That's how we know you're not local. If you say Lancaster, we know. Lancaster is in California. Lancaster is in Pennsylvania. But here's this from Sunset Fiber Co. And I was chatting with her, and I don't recall her name, and I feel bad now, but she may be doing a trunk show at my local yarn store, You and Me, in York, Pennsylvania, sometime this spring. So when that happens, I'm gonna go. It's going to happen because you can see here I bought 3 colors. Now, I realized when I got home I should have bought at least 5 because I need 7 color bands to do the log cabin square. The log cabin square has 7 sections in it. So I don't like to repeat a lot, but 5 at a minimum, preferably 7 colors. I only got 3. I should have got 2 more. But in any case, here it is. Here's some nice light colors to go into the End Times cardigan. And these are also, by the way, 80-10-10 superwash merino cashmere recycled nylon. So super soft and squishy, but so those will be making their way over there. So I got more minis. There's more, but wait, there's more. And these are from Tempting You Yarns, and there's no label on these. These are, I believe all of these except this one. These are all 75-25, and then I think this one is maybe an MCN base, a merino cashmere nylon base. I don't recall, and there's no labels on any of this. But these are all 20-gram minis, and at this point the brain was working, so I got light ones for the End Times cardigan, and then I went back and got 2 more so that I could do a log cabin square for them. And of course I got purple and orange because Ravens and Orioles, and Tempting You is a Maryland owned business. So I think those will be fun. Okay, last part of the yarn haul. No, it's not. There's more. So, okay, next up, so Cesium Yarn. I met them at Frederick Fiber Fest for the first time last year. And if you recall my I'm Not Setting Booty Traps socks that I made earlier this year, that was their yarn. So they were there with their yarn truck, which they didn't have a yarn truck last year, but they were in a yarn truck this year. And I got this full skein, and it's called Quit Bugging Me. And it's this really pretty, like light green, dark green, super speckly. These are probably going to be my Christmas socks. Again, I don't know why I'm so drawn to greens all of a sudden, if you notice the common theme here, but I just thought that was really pretty and perfect for Christmas. I have some Christmas socks and they tend to lean more like red, so let's add some green to the mix. Let's make some Quit Bugging Me socks. And then minis. More minis. And all but one are light colors, which will go perfectly for that cardigan. And I already have a cesium yarn square for my log cabin blanket. They're gonna get another one. They'll just have 2. Some dyers will have 3. I don't know. We will see. So there's no need for me to profess the love that I have for Froggit Yarns. If you're new here, you already are well aware of that. And Frederick Fiber Fest was not an exception. More mini skeins, more light colors, and also a couple extras so that I can do another log cabin square for their yarn. They will also have 2. Also, by the way, and I forgot to bring it up, a giant box arrived on Friday maybe, and I wasn't expecting anything, and my boyfriend was like, hey, you got a giant box on the step, and I was like, what is it? He's like, it's got frog stickers on it. What? So I bring it in. It's my yarn advent from Froggit Yarns. I think this is the earliest I've ever gotten an advent in the mail. It's not even Halloween yet. So kudos to them for getting those out early. I'm very excited for advent this year. I have the Froggit Yarns advent. I have one coming from Rising Tide Fiber Company. Surprise! You're not surprised. And then also the striping skein from Freckled Whimsy. So I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do Vlogmas. Leave a comment below. How do you feel about Vlogmas? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you watch them? Do you want to see me opening yarns every day for 24, 25 days? Let me know. Normally I just do that on Instagram, but I also have this now. I have this platform now. So if you'd like to see that here, maybe leave a comment below. I'm not committing to anything yet, especially daily videos, but maybe that's something, even if I just do it weekly, maybe that's something we can do. But in addition to all the yarn, so let me explain for a second first. So the first time that I saw Froggit Yarns, it was at the National Apple Harvest Festival, which is every October in, I think it's in Biglerville, Pennsylvania. Pretty sure that's where it is. But it's a giant apple festival. We like our apples here in Pennsylvania. Who knew? And like tons of vendors, tons of craft vendors. And I've attended several times over the past, 20, 25 years. I've never really seen a yarn person there before until 2-3 years ago. That's where I first saw Froggit Yarns. I did get yarn. It has been used. One has not been used, but that's where I saw them. And they have these baskets that are fair trade. They're made in Africa. I believe they're made in Ghana. I have the tag here I can pull out. But I was always drawn to them, but they have so many different designs and styles. I could never really just, kind of pinpoint, do I want one? Do I need one? No, we don't need anything. But yesterday, when I saw them at Frederick, I was like so drawn to this one that they had, and I had to get it. I was just so drawn to this. I think this is so pretty. And it's just orange and purples and greens, which are lovely colors together. Orange and purple for ravens, and the Orioles. It has a nice leather handle, and this thing is huge. So what I'm intending to use this for is to corral my downstairs knitting. So I have things that I keep upstairs, like the End Times cardigan. That primarily gets worked on upstairs. I also have downstairs knitting, which is usually socks, the make-along shawl, that kind of stuff. This can help organize and corral that so I don't have it spread all over the house. That's the plan anyway. But like I mentioned, it's called an African market basket, and they're fair trade and made in Ghana, West Africa, which I think is amazing. So yeah, there is that. So in addition to the yarny stuff, I also got some other things. So last year I met a gentleman there. His daughter is a graphic designer, and they design and make all of these stickers. And I've said it once, I'll say it again. I love stickers. If you sell stickers, I will probably buy them. I just love them. So they had the cutest stickers. So this is a little crocheting frog. I just love him. A little sheep with a heart. So the one I got last year, it's a little sheep just like this, except it's holding a balloon. That's a heart. And then this little gentleman in their top hat and bow tie. I just thought that was cute. And then I also got these to put on Christmas gifts this year. Look at this little cat in a hat. It was too cute. And by the way, these are by Jaded Vector. They have in Etsy's shop, but I think they're on break right now. I looked them up earlier to see if they had any different stuff, but they're on a break right now. But there's that. In addition, I stopped at Camp Stitchwood to see what was new there. They usually do the Maryland kind of festival circuit. I don't know if they do the Alpaca festival, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, but they usually do Frederick, and they usually do, I think, Maryland Sheep and Wool. I'm not sure, but I got my Serial Crafter pin. Last year I got the sticker. This year I got the badge. So, fun story. I was telling some people at work that I made those hats to donate, and that was from a couple of videos ago. But I said, oh, I'm a serial crafter. They heard the word cereal, and I know that's a homophone, right? They thought I was making stuff out of like Fruit Loops. No, cereal with an S. So I saw this and I thought about that, and then of course I had to get the badge. Like I said, I already have the sticker. And then they had this one, which is this cute little A-frame cabin with yarn as the moon. That was just too precious. I would love this on a shirt. Camp Stitchwood, if you're listening, I would love this on a shirt. So while we're talking about stickers, I ran into another maker from Pennsylvania, which was very exciting for me. We love our hometown heroes. And the maker's name is Little Loopy PA. They apparently did a trunk show at my favorite local yarn store, You and Me, but I missed it. So ran into them there at Frederick, and they also had stickers. If you know, you know. I know. Do you know? Yes. Happiness is yarn. 100%. And then also, this one just made me laugh. Granny vibes. And it's a granny square. It's too perfect. Is this the thumbnail, by the way, for the video? It should be. I maybe do that. And then just the last thing, and this was so fun. I don't know. I'm easily amused, y'all. Like, it doesn't take a lot to bring me joy in the slightest. So Bluebird Makery has a gumball machine, and I'll insert, obviously, some stuff here about it, but they have a gumball machine, and it's a quarter, and you put the quarter in, you get a little prize. So I pulled $1 out, and I played the gumball machine, and it's these little plastic gumballs, and they all have little surprises inside, and I'll open this one. The rest are already opened. Oh, can I get it open? So this is a little smiley yarn pen. I thought he was cute. And then the other was this like leaf stitch marker. And in their booth, they had lots of like stitch markers, notions, that kind of stuff. And then these two stitch markers, which I've never seen anything like this before. I'm looking forward to trying these. But it's this little looped wire. It's a little looped wire with a bead on it. Hopefully you can see that okay. But two of those in two different colors. So I thought those were cool. I'm looking forward to trying those. Not that I need more stitch markers, but I'm always looking forward to trying like new types to see if I like those better. I usually end up using the cheap like clover triangle ones. So that is the haul from Frederick Fiber Fest. Oh, with the exception of some alcoholic brewed iced tea from 10th Ward Distillery, which is woman owned, love it, and local to Frederick. So I'll just insert a picture of it here. They were giving out samples and I tried this peach clementine. It's so good. So of course I had to get a little 4-pack of it. We haven't drank them yet. I think that's going to be today's Ravens game beverage of choice. But once I was done at the Fiber Fest, I decided to go to downtown Frederick. I did not go to Magpie. I know everybody loves Magpie. I did not go to Magpie this time because, quite frankly, you saw what I bought. I don't need to buy more things there. But what I did do is go to the quilt shop that is there. So it's called Charlotte's Cottage Quilt Shop. And I actually found what I was looking for, believe it or not. I went in for something specific and they actually had it. So I have a little yarn bag that I bought from somebody and it was this squirrel fabric. I know it sounds weird, but I wanted to see if they had the squirrel fabric, and it's an out of print. I think they do limited edition Tula pink. And if you don't know fabric, you have no idea what I'm talking about, but they do like limited runs of their fabric collections, and it's an older collection from I guess a year or two ago with these squirrels on it. And they had it in stock and I was so excited to find it. So I ended up getting 4 fat quarters of this fabric. Look at it. Let me just put that there. How cute is it? My dogs go nuts about the squirrels, and it is a full-on squirrel party in my yard right now with fall being here. So they're out there collecting all their acorns from my giant oak tree that's out front, but they had it. Now, they only had fat quarters. They did not have it by the yard. And if you're unfamiliar, a fat quarter is basically 18 by 21 instead of 9 by 42. So it's like longer and squatter than just like a strip of a quarter yard of fabric. So it makes it a little easier to use for projects. And what I'm gonna make is a knitting project bag, of course, out of this. So I got a couple of these, and then as a lining fabric, this is also Tula pink. It's this kind of lime green polka dot. So I thought that would be fun. And then while I was looking around there, they had on display these little zipper pouches, and I just thought they were cute. So I asked about that, and it's the Clam Up zipper pouch. And the maker of the pattern is called By Annie. They have a website, byannie.com. And I just thought that was cool. So I ended up getting two extra sets of the squirrel and polka dot fabric, so I can do a knitting bag, and then maybe I can make one of these to go with it as like a little notions pouch, a little matchy moment. Now, I don't know when that's going to get done, but there it is. And then on display, they had this little snowman quilted wall hanging, and he had like this wool fabric scarf kind of wrapped around his neck, and you can kind of see it a little bit in the picture here. So of course I had to get this. I have a lot of leftover fabric from those baby quilts, and I think I have enough leftovers to be able to make this. But what I want to do is knit him a scarf so that he can have a little hand knit scarf hanging from him. I think it would be cute. I know it's a lot, but it's who I am. Okay, so this is probably going to be a longer episode than normal. I usually try to keep these to 30 minutes or less. It's probably going to be a little longer, especially once I put in all the footage of the Fiber Festival itself, which I will put here at the end. And hopefully you enjoy that. Hopefully you can get out to some fiber festivals local to you, maybe local to me. And if you ever see me out, please say hi. So I just want to talk for a couple minutes about like the and such portion of this program. So this week was a little chaotic. So I started a new role at my job on Monday, and I've been basically consumed by that this week. It's been a lot of like extra work on my part, just trying to get up to speed, learn what's going on, learn what needs to go on, dealing with escalations, all of that stuff. So less than fun stuff there. And I decided to take a half a day on Friday so that I could work on my mystery knit along shawl and then get that done to the point where I could film on Saturday when I got home from Frederick. None of that happened. So I was doing some house stuff on Friday once I was off of work, and someone came over, and it doesn't matter who the someone is, but somebody came over and they gave my dogs treats. And I have 2 Yorkies. Marcus, the boy, he's like 12 pounds, and Ginger, the girl, is like, she's roughly between 9 and 10 pounds. So they're very tiny dogs. And this person gave them these like big treats, and they were too big for them to eat. And Ginger, the little girl dog, when she swallowed it, it did not go all the way down, and she started to panic, and then I started to panic. So basically what happened was it got caught in her esophagus. She was still breathing, so I knew, like, in terms of immediate danger, she was not in immediate danger, but I knew there was something very, very wrong the way she was acting. It's like, and it happened the second she swallowed it. So I immediately, like, went into problem solving mode, and I went on the internet and I looked, and we tried to, like, check her throat, try to see if we could actually see it in there to get it out. She does not open her mouth, by the way. She's, again, 9 pounds, but she has the jaws of a shark. Like, you're not opening her mouth if she doesn't want you to open her mouth. And she actually nipped me. But so I ended up calling the emergency vet, and they couldn't see her for 6 hours, which is crazy to me. Like, if something was really bad, 6 hours, y'all? Like, oh gosh, I guess it's no better than the like public health system in this country anyway. But so I ended up calling her regular vet, and they were like, just bring her in. We'll see her. We'll make time between appointments, and we will see her like immediately. So we ran over there. We took her to the vet, and they did exactly what they said. They got her in right away. They took x-rays, and you could see on the x-ray where the treat was like caught, and like basically, and this is probably all the wrong anatomy. So you vet tech people, you vets, if you're in that career and you're listening to me blab about this, I'm probably technically incorrect, but I'm directionally correct. Basically, where her esophagus meets her stomach is where it was caught, and she was like trying to get it up, but it wasn't moving. So what they did was they put her to sleep, they sedated her, and then they went down with a tube to basically dislodge it. So long story short, she's fine now. She was very sort of out of it. Like, obviously, the rest of Friday, she was completely out of it. Yesterday, she was still very uncomfortable. We're giving her like some meds and stuff for that. But last night, she actually wanted to eat, which is good. That means everything's working again. And, you know, then this morning, she was kind of running around a little bit. So she's fine. But that was a very traumatizing experience for both her and me. We both kind of like freaked out a little bit. And, you know, I really love my dogs. They're like my kids. And, you know, I was very concerned that something bad was happening. So yeah, because of all that, I did zero making on Friday. Nothing. And then obviously yesterday I went to Frederick. So you know, when I got home, wanted to make sure she was okay. I worked with her on trying to get her to eat. She ended up eating. I made chicken pot pie for dinner, so I'll throw in a little bit of cooking here. I ended up making a chicken pot pie for dinner, and I can insert a picture. I take pictures of all my food. When I make that, I use the Instant Pot to cook the chicken breast first, and I basically held some back for her and kind of, you know, incentivized her to eat by giving her her favorite meal, which is chicken. So she did eat that. She did seem to feel better. She didn't like throw up or anything. But side note, the recipe that I use for the chicken pot pie is it's from the Pillsbury website. I use Pillsbury refrigerated dough, frozen mixed vegetables. You basically make like a roux and then add the cooked chicken and the vegetables to it. You do a two crust pie where you put the crust in the bottom, put your filling in, put the crust on top, and then you just like bake it for 30 minutes or so. And it's a great recipe. I'll link it below. And, you know, if you try it and you like it, let me know. I would love to hear more. So that's all I have for you today in knitting and such. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, liking, subscribing, doing all the YouTube-y things. And as I mentioned, I'll put here at the very end some footage from Frederick Fiber Fest, and I hope you enjoyed that too. So until next week, happy making. It's Frederick Fiber Fest day, y'all. I'm fueled up. Let's go.